Okay, now our next step is to create the shareable storage. In the cluster, SQL cluster needs shareable storage to store the data and log files. So we need to create the shareable storage. In this case, we are going to use Iscsi targets. Earlier, before Windows Server 2012, to create the Iscsi targets, I used Starwind software. We can use Starwind software to create the Iscsi targets. Now with Windows Server 2012, it comes with the Iscsi target server, so we don't need Starwind software to create the shareable storage. Okay, so let's look into that. We will create a couple of shareable storage disks that we can use in the cluster creation. Okay, for that, if you go to the server manager, you will see file and storage services. If you go there, you will see the link Iscsi. Just click that. So you will get this message. You need to have Iscsi target server installed on this machine. So on this server, you need to add the Iscsi target server. In order to add that, you need to go to the add roles and features wizard. So click that link. It will directly take you to that appropriate page. Okay, so you get this corresponding add roles and features wizard page where the file and storage services option is checked by default. Okay, you can see that Iscsi target server. So everything is ready. All you need to do is just click next. It will add the Iscsi target server on this computer. Once you have the Iscsi target server, then you can add the Iscsi virtual disks. Okay, Iscsi target server role has been added. Now let's create the Iscsi disk. So select the tasks tab here, or whatever the icon, and you select the new Iscsi virtual disk. So on this server, select the drive that you wanted to have the images. Okay, so on this server I have just one drive, so I'm going to create the shareable disks on C drive. Okay, in fact you can create the virtual disk on any server for that matter, but if that server goes down, then your whole the Iscsi target will go down. So that is the reason why I have selected cluster DC server, the domain controller server, to host the Iscsi targets. Or in case if you are trying out Iscsi for development purpose, you may have to keep the Iscsi on a stable server. Okay, so right now I'm creating the Iscsi virtual disk. So this is the server, and I'm going to create on C drive. So name of the disk, let us say SQL data, and it is going to create in this directory C drive Iscsi virtual disk. You can create your own custom path, but I have selected whatever the default. Okay, so it says it will be saved in this directory in this volume. Okay, which is fine. Let us create SQL data virtual disk. It says I have 8.8 GB free. Let us create 512 MB for SQL data. Instead of 512, probably, okay, 512 should be fine. new Iscsi target. Iscsi targets are node 1, node 2, node 3. Iscsi disk will be stored on this server. Okay, that is where I'm creating right now. And the Iscsi disks, these are the targets. These are the servers that is going to use the Iscsi target. Okay, so that is the reason why we created Iscsi target server on this role, and we are creating the Iscsi disk on this server. Okay, and while creating the Iscsi disk, we are saying, okay, node 1, node 2, node 3 are my targets. Okay, that is where we need to specify this option, new target. Okay, so the target name is you can say something SQL. Okay, so it says click add to specify the Iscsi initiator that will access the virtual disk. So on the target server, on the on these servers where we are going to use the Iscsi disk, we have to use the Iscsi initiator. So it says add the servers that is going to initiate the Iscsi initiator. So we are going to specify IP address of node 1, I think, which will be 168.1.111. Let us look into the IP address. Okay, 111 is node 1, 2 and 3 are node 2. So let us okay, this is node 1. This will be one initiator. Another initiator will be we can specify the DNS name, which will be node 2 or node 1, sorry, the MAC address or IQN name, but in this case I am specifying the IP address. So I need to add one more IP address. Okay, I am saying these three servers will initiate the Iscsi initiator on those machines to access this shareable Iscsi virtual disk. Okay, so I'm just going to leave as it is. So create. Okay, it created the Iscsi virtual disk. Now let's take a look at the SQL data. Okay, so we created this disk. Now let us create another Iscsi target. So now we are going to create another virtual disk for storing the SQL logs. Okay, so it says you already have the established targets. Can you use it? Okay, why not? Let us. Okay, so we created two shareable storage. Let me think if we need any more. I guess we might need one for SSIS. So let us create one shareable storage for SSIS. Now let us create one more for MSDTC. Okay, we need one more for SSAS. Since we are going to cluster SSAS, we need one shareable storage for that. Okay, so we have created 5 shareable Iscsi targets. These two for storing SQL data and log files, and this is for storing SSIS packages and configuration file for clustering SSIS, and this is for SSAS, and we need one more for MSDTC. Okay, so now these are the 5 disks, and for all 5 disks we specified this is the targets here. Okay, now this is fine. um, okay, after adding these servers to the domain, we restarted node 1, node 2, node 3. Let us node 1 administrator. Since we added this to domain, we don't need to log into the local administrator account. We can use domain account. Okay, in this case I'm going to use this domain account, cluster admin account. In fact, that is domain administrator. So I'm going to log in with the same account on all servers. Okay, now let us start the Iscsi initiator. We need to start the Iscsi service on the server in order to use the Iscsi initiator. So let us do the same thing on remaining 2 servers. Okay, so here we have to specify the target where the Iscsi disks are located. Okay, so now here we connected the Iscsi initiator. Let us Okay, here you can see the Iscsi targets. Okay, 512, but we don't know what this 512 is. We created several 512 MB hard disks. 'Hmm. Okay, let's make it online. Let's assign M and perform the quick format. Okay, likewise, let us and this is SQL logs. Let's keep the L drive. Two 256, I guess. For SQL data and log, we created 512 MB memory, and for other services like MSDTC, SSIS, and SSAS, we allocated 256 MB. So let us and this is for MSDTC. Um, so let's keep it G drive. Let's make it. Let's make a note of it somewhere. G for MSDTC, M for SQL data, SQL logs. Okay, now make it online. This is another 256 MB. So J drive for SSIS. O drive for SSAS. Okay, so we made all the Iscsi targets online on this server. Now if we open the Windows Explorer, you will see all the drives here. Like that, we have to do the same thing on other two nodes. Okay, I will take a pause here, and I will do the same thing on node 2 and node 3, and I will resume the video from there. Okay, I'm in node 2. When I added the sorry when I open the disk management, I get all the drives that I created on cluster DC machine. Okay, but the drive letters are different. Okay, so you have to keep the drive letters same. So volume name is correct, but the drive letter is different. Okay, in order to fail over the cluster properly, you need to have the same drive letters, otherwise it might create a problem. Okay, it will be definitely a problem. So I am not sure, somewhere we have the option to keep the same drive letters on the remaining nodes that we add as Iscsi targets, sorry, Iscsi initiator. Okay, so um, now we need to change it. So whatever the drive letters we used on node 1, we have to use the same drive letters on node 2. G for MSDTC. Okay, this is fine. SQL data M, this should be. L SQL log. Okay, MSDTC is correct. G drive. Now for SSIS we used J drive. And SSAS we used O drive. Now let's go to node 3. So when you open a disk management first time, you will get something like this, and you have to make it online. And after that, so but it picks up the wrong drive letter. So M for data and L for logs. And the MSDTC G drive. SSIS J drive. SSAS. We used O drive. Okay, so this is what we added. Now so we have added all the shared storage on all three servers. Okay, so now our next step is to create the Windows cluster. Okay, now let's start create the Windows cluster. To create the Windows cluster, click failover cluster manager. So here you can do the validation. Before you create the cluster, you can validate the cluster. Select the server names. Now you have two options in Windows Server 2012. You can run all the tests, or you can specifically select the components that you wanted to test. For example, you can if you don't want to test storage, you can just skip it. Okay, like that you have option to disable the network, or not to validate the cluster, not to validate the network before you cluster. Later on you can add the network. Okay, since we have everything in place, we can select everything, all the options, and say next. It should not create problems. If it is, then we will take a look at it. So this validation might take some time. I will pause the video here and I will resume after the validation. Okay, the validation report is successful. Everything is green. There are no errors. We can go ahead and create the cluster. So it gives an option to create the cluster. So let us click finish, which will create the cluster. Cluster name, let's look into the nodes to see what name. Okay, cluster IP address is 114, Windows cluster IP address. For the cluster name, we can give something like this. So it has the option, you can add the eligible storage to the cluster, or you can add the storage later. Since we are going to use the storage anyways in the cluster, so we can add the storage right away. Okay, we successfully created the cluster. The cluster should appear here. The current active node is node 2. There are no roles, we haven't added anything. When we add SQL cluster, it will appear as a role under the roles tab. Nodes, you will see all 3 nodes, they are up and running. Storage, whatever the disks that we added, shareable disks, it's all here. But we didn't see one node, SQL logs, probably because of the active partition. I need to find out why it is active partition. And network, we have two networks, one is public and another one is private. So this is private and this is public. Public is 192.168.1.111. okay, so here we are missing the SQL logs, I guess, L drive. Okay, I think because okay, so now it looks like I messed up something. I made it as a active primary partition. So when I removed that, I was able to add that disk in the cluster now. So now we have all the 5 shareable storage we can use for clustering. Okay, so far what we have covered, we did the first step. build the Windows cluster. Okay, this is what we have done so far. We created 4 virtual operating systems on my laptop, and I have given 1.5 GB RAM for all 4 servers. I made this server cluster DC as a domain controller server. Okay, so I installed domain controller on this server. I created meta manager domain, and I joined these 3 servers to this domain, and I clustered these 3 servers. For the shareable storage, I created Iscsi targets the virtual disks on this server, and made it available to use over the IP for these 3 servers. So these are the targets, Iscsi targets. Sorry, Iscsi initiators to use the target here. Okay, and I created the Windows cluster finally. So I created the Windows cluster and I added the shareable storage to that Windows cluster. Okay, our next step is to create the SQL cluster. Okay,